Okay, let's see now. This is episode 31 on the Norton project. Episode 30, we got the bike going, so bear with me. I'm going to stick you in a tripod here. I got something I want to share with you. Most of this video is just going to cover body work, and I got to tell you, I'm not really a body mechanic. What I know, I've learned from other body mechanics, and it's basically practice and that sort of thing. I never did understand how men with hands that felt like shark skin could rub their hand over a car and tell you, oh, there's a low spot there or a high spot there. I've never been able to do that. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about starting off with this little video here, this first clip. I want to show you this. It's a bar end mirror, and it's one of the less expensive ones. MGO makes them. There's the package it came in. I've cut a lot of it off, but that's beside the point. Anyway, I've really become a fan of bar end mirrors over about the last 20 years, and everything I've got has bar end mirrors on it except my old Yamaha, because well, that's got the mirrors that screw into the clutch lever and the brake lever mounts. So anyway, everything else got bar end mirrors on it. Great thing about them, they're sticking out beyond the handlebar, so you don't have to tuck your elbows in or move your shoulder when you're trying to see what's behind you. They work great, and if you get in a tight spot in the shop, you can just fold them in like that, and they're right out of the way, and then when you want to use them, just 2 clicks back up, and they're back in the same position as they were before. Anyway, you can spend a lot of money on these, or you can buy these cheap ones which work perfectly well, except for one thing. This little clamp affair that goes into the handlebars. On the cheaper ones, it's a reflection of what you paid for it in the first place. So what I'm talking about here is this little clamp. I'm not so sure if that's going to show very well on the video, but I'm hoping it is. Let me walk around behind the camera, see if you can actually see what's going on there. Yeah, I guess you can. All right. Anyway, what you see here is this little affair that goes inside the handlebars. Here's a nut that goes inside it. And when you tighten up the nut, there are some little flat areas right here. And what happens when you tighten the nut up and you get down to those flat areas, it expands this little 16 gauge metal gizmo out so that it jams that into the handlebar, and they work fairly well for a while. But after a while, they just start to get loose, and you come to a point that the tighter you try to make them, they only get looser till you get up past that point, and then, they're not doing anything anymore. So what do I do to solve that problem? Well, let me unscrew this for you and get this off of here first. Yeah, that's the bolt that's out of it. I'm going to reuse that. It's metric, by the way. If you don't like metric, well, go to standard. So anyway, what I like to do, usually I'll leave this piece on here, but you can cut that right off. It's not necessary to making this other part work, but I'll lay this mirror down and I'll show you. I get out usually a piece of aluminum because, hey, it machines easy. It's nice to work with. And I make myself a little cam lock affair like this. Now this end is threaded. That goes on the end. And this end is not threaded. This goes over that large end that in this case I've left behind on here. Now I've machined that so that it's just a nice fit in the handlebars. You can slide it in sort of loosely, and you can get it out quite easily too. That's the whole point of it. But when you put the bolt in it, like so, through the mirror, of course, and screw that in there, when you tighten that bolt up, it's going to make the cam lock affair go like that. kind of like the stem on a bicycle, right? And that really holds those mirrors on there good. So let me just put this together for you. I'm actually going to put a washer on there before I actually put that on, but then that piece goes there. This piece goes on there. And you just screw that down. Anyway, once I get that in the handlebar, I'll just tighten that up and it'll jam itself up against there and jam that piece in the handlebar, and that will keep the mirror from ever falling off. Works a lot better than the clamp that comes with it. These mirrors, they're cheap. They're only like 15, 16 bucks from my supplier anyways. And all you have to do to make them perfect is make up these little cam lock affairs, and they work great. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you in case you might have wanted to use one of these. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do this. You don't have to do it exactly that way. There's many different ways. But anyway, like I said, I thought I'd just share that. Okay, now you can see I've got that all fitted together. It's ready to go in. So with a little bit of luck, should be able to just push that in there like that. And then we tighten up this bolt. I can pull that out actually a little bit until I tighten it up. That way I'm not right up against the rubber. See how that works? So right about there seems to be the usual place where they work really well. And all I gotta do is tighten that up, and that is not going anywhere. And like I say, if you get in a tight spot in the shop, you just push that out of the way. You can have it facing up that way. You can have it facing out this way. You can have it all the way out that way. Or you can even go down underneath if you want to. But I like them right about there. And then we'll bring the mirror around something like that so that I can actually see what's behind me. And yeah, so there we go. We have a mirror. And all we need around these parts is one mirror on the left side, and you're good as far as the law is concerned. I got a feeling I'm going to be flip-flopping all over the place with this video. There's going to be a bunch of different clips that I put together from different procedures that I'm doing. Right now I've decided to clean up the bottom of the tank here. I've used a good old lacquer thinner and got all the oil that I put on that to prevent any rusting after I checked the tank for leaks. Anyway, I've got a good quality spray-on type of etching primer that I'm going to put on here. So I'm going to paint the bottom of the tank first, and then we'll have a look at the top and see what needs to be done as far as getting that smooth and ready for a good slick coat of paint on it. This is what I'm using here as far as primer goes. The first time I've ever used this, and it seems pretty darn good. It dries really quick. As you can see, I've got a coat on there already. I'll probably put another 2 more coats on that before I'm satisfied with that. And then we'll start working on the sides. As you can see down around the bottom edges where the welded sections go, this is really rough where they've ground this away, so I think I'll probably put a bit, a thin layer of body film just to skim over that. And anyway, we'll see how that goes. And if you're wondering why I sound kind of muffled, well, this is why. I'm dressed up like Darth Vader. So all I can recommend is you should use some sort of a respirator. If nothing else, at least wear an N95 mask or something that keeps some of that particulate out of your lungs. You only get one set of lungs, and Lord knows I've had a pretty bad scare with mine. So if you're working around spray paint, there's not a lot of overspray from this kind of stuff, but It's still good to protect yourself. Okay, I didn't used to do this, but a lot of auto body guys are doing this now, where you apply a skim coat to the whole tank, especially on a new tank. That it takes care of a lot of the imperfections, and it saves a lot on priming and sanding and priming and sanding. Just make sure before you do this that all the holes in your tank are sealed up well. Like I use aluminum duct tape on the filler caps usually. And this one being a new tank, it's got nice little plugs on the petcock holes as well. So yeah, so next job I guess will be to start sanding that down. I'll wait for a while for that to set up well before I do that, but I've got a nice coat of that etching primer on the inside. I think I'm just going to paint the inside and the bottom of the tank black and just worry about putting the color on the main section. Let's see. Side covers. I guess I got to get at those next. Right. Bear with me. Yeah, I think I can take this this respirator off. Yeah, doesn't seem to be anything floating around in the air right now. So, these things. Well, they were really dirty and messy, and they still are. The problem is I think they've been painted with black trem-clad paint, and the stuff that I want to put on this will wrinkle that old trem-clad right up. So I got to remove that black paint and get down to the base coat here before I do anything else. And there's something else I wanted to show you about these side covers as well. Is they're fiberglass, right? And they tend to warp in a sort of a concave shape. Like if I put I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not, but if I put the ruler across there, there's about 1/8 of an inch of concave in the middle of these. So I'll be filling those in with body fill to take up for that unflatness. You don't have to, but it's just something that I noticed they did years ago, and I thought, well, you know, why not make them flat? Plus, one of my buddies who was a body mechanic, he used to do that all the time. And he knew what he was doing, not like me. By the way, I am not an auto body technician, so don't take anything I do here as gospel. This is just the way I do it around the shop. Okay, got the old paint off of there. That came off pretty easy, actually. He was using a new type of stripper there. Anyway, it smells like a combination of Bengay and cat pee. But nothing works like the stuff you used to buy back in the 70s and 80s, but this doesn't work too bad, especially when the temperature is nice and warm. I've got it about 20 degrees out here. Anyway, what you see right there is a little layer of long strand fiberglass body fill, which I put over here to fill in that hollowed out section of the side cover there. I also found a nasty little crack right underneath that spot, and I've filled it also in from the back side to give it strength, so that that shouldn't present any more problems. Anyway, I'm going to just take those side covers. The body fill is actually setting up now as we speak, so I'm going to put them on top of the old furnace there and get them nice and warm. That way the epoxy in there will, not the epoxy, what is in there? Anyway, the body fill will cure a little quicker with the heat on it. Meanwhile, that tank's been sitting down there for about an hour, so that skim of body fill that I've got on it there now should be ready for me to sand off. I wish it wasn't raining out today, because I don't like to do this kind of stuff in the shop. Maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. It might not be raining, and then I could do it outdoors on the picnic table, and the wind will just blow the dust away. We'll see. Anyway. Alright, that's the long strand fiberglass on there to fill in most of that concavity. So, anyway, yeah, that little crack that was there, you can see where the The long strand is in there, filling that in. And of course, like I say, on the back, it's reinforced with that as well, so that'll make that good and strong. And now it's time to get some regular Bondo on there and smooth up that front face surface. I know it's a lot of work to go to, and I didn't really need to do it, but I thought, you know what, it's a rainy, crappy day out, so hey, I got time. Why not? Okay, I've got a lot of sanding ahead of me. I've got the side covers up there on top of the furnace plenum where it's nice and warm, so that the Bondo can set well on those. Bondo's already set on that tank. I could sand it if I wanted to. Trouble is, as I mentioned, it's foggy, it's kind of drizzly out. It's not a good day to go outside and do any sanding, and I don't really want to do any sanding here in the shop. I mean, the place is filthy as it is, but to do that would just, put it over the top. Anyway, I got lots of other stuff to do. Like I said, I'll be bouncing around here from one job to another until I get parts in, that sort of thing. But like I said, the bike is really nearing completion. But let me tell you about this seat. When I got the bike, the seat was a little dirty, but I put a bit of Armor All on it, cleaned it up, and as you can see, well, the Norton sign on the back is really hard to read. It's quite faded out, but I'm thinking I know how to paint these up again. And anyway, I had decided that seat was probably good enough to reuse. I mean, there wasn't any tears or anything in it up until a certain point, which I'm about to tell you about. Anyway, while I was starting to take the bike apart, I had the seat sitting up on the frame, and somehow or other, I gave it a knock, and it flipped off, landed on the floor with a very loud thump, louder than usual. But I thought, how many times have I dropped a seat on its face, and that doesn't hurt anything. Anyway, when I picked it up, there was a really big V-shaped slash right there in the seat, because the seat had come down on the corner of the lift. And of course, of all places for it to land was right there, so it tore a nice little V-shaped hole in there. So I thought, well, you know what, I wonder if I can fix that. So what I did was I took a piece of vinyl, exterior vinyl. I smeared it all full of that automotive goop, and I tucked it in underneath the seat cover. And then I pushed everything back in place, and I set a nice heavy sledge on top of it for about 3 days till the goop set up and that kind of thing. Anyway, you know what? It's not a bad fix. Out in the sunshine after that warmed up a little bit, you might not even notice that was ever even torn. But after doing all this kind of work to this bike, I thought, and this I thought a long time ago, by the way, I didn't just get this seat cover, I've had it for months. But I said, you know what, why don't we just get a nice new replacement seat cover for it, and that way, you won't have to have an old seat on a newly restored bike. It wouldn't go together. So anyway, I've decided, while I'm waiting for the weather to clear up, I'm going to take the old seat cover off of there and see if I can get the new one on. So stand by. All right, let's talk about this seat a bit. This seat is in remarkably good condition for something off a 1969 motorcycle. And my bike, the other Norton that I have, had an original seat on it. And what was going on with that was this part here, instead of being pressed in like this, was actually cut out. So you could see the foam in here. And the brackets where they were fastened to the machine, the welding was just terrible. It looked like something somebody had done with a really bad welder and really poor welding skills on a Saturday afternoon with one too many beers in them. Anyway, it was so ugly that I thought that seat was probably off an old Honda, and it was something that somebody had made up. So a couple of years later, I threw it away. And then I discovered that that was an original seat, and I felt so stupid. So anyway, I don't think that this seat is original to this bike. I mean, it's just in too good of a shape. I mean, there's a little bit of paint flicking off of it here and there. But, you know, other than that, it's really nice looking. So anyway, to get the bottom off of here, the first thing you got to do is take this trim off. And usually, it's not too much harder than ripping it off just like that. Now, a person could save that for another job if you wanted, but the chrome is all cracked on here and stuff. I may put it away and save it for something. Sometimes you end up with a job that you need a little piece of this stuff, and you can always take that chrome trim out of there and just use it black, because frankly the new ones come with a black fastener. So anyway, that's out of the way. Next thing you got to do is remove these little clips right here, and they're very good to save, because again, if you were going to work on these seats at all now and then, there goes the furnace story about the noise. But I'm going to save the clips off here. I might need to take a screwdriver to help me get them off. Now that one's all rusty, there's no point in saving that. But any of the good ones I will keep for future use, just in case. Sometimes you got to swear a little bit to get them off. Come on now, you don't need to hold on there that well. So we know that's a good one. That's a keeper. So I'm going to keep on taking these off. Meanwhile, I'll just pause the video. So, got all the clips off. Pried away the bottom away from there. So let's find out what's underneath it here. Alright, a little rust. There's that little spot that I fixed up underneath there where I glued that piece of vinyl to the underneath of it. Anyway, that cover, it's not in bad shape. I mean, if somebody comes along looking for something to repair a seat with, I mean, this might be viable, so I'll probably stuff that away over there on the shelf and just keep that for spare parts, or maybe I'll even take it to the swap meet this fall and just give it away to anybody that's looking for something like that. But man, that seat foam, that is in remarkably good condition. A little bit of staining from the rust here and there, but that does not look like a 55-year-old seat foam. This is what makes me think that this may be a newer seat. Anyway, that's nice to know. That I won't have to do much of that at all to get this bike back together. And there's been a little bit of rust here, and the paint's a little loose from that and that sort of thing. But you know, it doesn't look too bad. I've got a little rust on the underneath around the edges here, of course. You can see that. There's a couple of little cracks right behind the fasteners where the seat fastens onto the frame. But I can take a little piece of 22 gauge steel across there and just braze that in place to repair that. These bolts right here are for a seat strap that was probably never on. So I'm going to see if I can get these bolts out of here. That'll give me the option to have a seat strap if I wanted. And of course I'll clean all this rusty stuff off with the wire wheel, and where I can't reach I'll use a wire brush. There's a couple of little spots back here that need to be repaired too, with a bit of metal on there, a little touch with the brazing torch maybe. Anyway, that'll keep me busy for a while, so I'll get on with that. Okay, carrying on with the seat. Been doing a bit of body work on that gas tank and stuff. So while that primer's setting up well, I decided to go back at the seat. Anyway, this white stuff that you see over the seat foam is quilt batting that my wife gave me. It's polyester. She likes to use wool. So she decided to just give this to me and donate it to my little upholstery products, or projects, I should say. So anyway, that's it's hard to do this with one hand, but there's the bottom. Got that all glued on with that Elmer spray-on adhesive. That stuff works really well. This can's almost empty. I got to get a new one. So anyway, I am ready now to put that new seat cover on over that. Before I carry on, sometimes I use 1/4-inch light foam on the top of these. It gives a nice texture to the seat foam before you apply the actual cover. But this stuff works really nice too. So anyway, this was here. Wife gave it to me. So let's use it. There we go. A nice new seat cover on the old seat. So that's great. Yep. Anyway, all you do is just you kind of stretch the seat down over there, clamp it in place, gently clamp it in a few places. Then you put those little clips on the edge. The clips hold the plastic trim strip. After you get everything all stretched out and you're satisfied with it, you push the plastic trim strip down over there, and there you go. Just like brand new. Out in the beautiful sunshine today. I think it's about 16 or 18 degrees. It's really great. The only thing is the black flies are coming out. Anyway, here's the results of that skim coat body fill that I put on the tank. Now I'm ready to give that a quick shot of primer. We'll see how that comes out. Well, I've decided this video is going to be long enough without me adding any more to it, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I've got the side covers. Those are, I think they're ready for paint. I'll give them a real close look with some with light shining at an angle, make sure there's nothing that I've missed on them. But I think they're good to go. The tank is almost good to go. There's a few little spots that I just want to massage. Like, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's like a little spot right there that needs to be massaged with a little bit of, a little bit of spot putty right in around that area. And then, just a little more wet sanding and that sort of thing, and that'll be ready for paint as well. And something did come in yesterday, which I will show you in a second. Just stand by. I'm going to pause this video. Well, as you can see, we're back out here in the garage again. Excuse me. Yes. Look what came in yesterday. I got that little regulator rectifier in. That's a Wassel unit. I actually think they're just made in China, but that doesn't matter. As long as they turn the AC into DC and charge the battery. So anyway, I fastened this on by making up a little adapter plate underneath it. There's a perfectly good hole in that fender that wasn't being used for anything. So, let's see if I can, yeah, there we go. That's like 3/16 aluminum plate that's bolted to the fender. And I've bolted the regulator rectifier up. Anyways, I came out here last night about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I hooked up the wiring to it. So, yeah, it's all set to go. Now all I need is a gas tank to put on there, and I can get this out on the road and road test it. Anyway, there'll be more, so thanks for watching. You can like and subscribe if you want to, and we'll see you next time.